If you ever get stuck in indecision when it comes to making hard or big decisions, I want you to know that you are not alone. I get a ton of questions around this specific topic in my DMs, in my email, from messenger birds that show up at my back window with people wanting help in decision paralysis. Specifically, we're going to talk today about making big decisions because there are definitely those times where we get stuck in making smaller decisions. But today we're going to talk about the big ones, the hard ones, and what to do if you are feeling stuck. I've got 3 really powerful tips for you, tools and strategies that are going to change how you think about decision making. It's going to make it a lot easier. And then by the end, if you still aren't sure which decision to make with the first 2 strategies that I'm going to teach you, the third one is going to give you a really powerful tool on what to do next so that you can stop stressing and struggling and being worn out and frustrated and worried and anxious about which decision you should make. But first, if you're new here, welcome to our incredible little corner on the internet. Take a second, introduce yourself in the comments section below if you are back. It is always good to have you. Special shout out to my shifters who are doing the work in a deeper way. Accountability, support, community, shifting, growing, healing, learning in the Shift Society. You can get more information about that in the description below. Either way, my name is Kristina, and I am a registered clinical therapist, a researcher, a coach, and the creator of my membership community where the shifters reside. It's called the Shift Society, and you can get more information, like I said, about the Shift Society in the description. I help heart-centered humans break through the crap that is holding them back so that they can like themselves and their lives more every day. And getting stuck in indecision can really be holding you back. And you know, I don't have to tell you, if you are right now in a place in your life where you're trying to make a big, hard decision and you don't know what to do, here is what you are going to do. First of all, take a big, deep breath and offer yourself some words of compassion, just some words of understanding to know that making big decisions, it's challenging because it's hard. Often when it's big things, there's a lot riding on it. And we want to be making the best decisions for our lives and considering the other people that it's going to impact and knowing what path to take in our lives. And it can feel overwhelming. It can feel difficult. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to consider the fact that when it comes to making a big decision or a hard decision and you really don't know what to do, I'm going to tell you that it's not making the quote unquote wrong decision that you are actually afraid of. It's how you are going to talk to and treat yourself and what you are going to make it mean about you if you do. If you go in and don't know which is the best decision to make and you end up biting the bullet and making a decision, it doesn't go the way you want, it doesn't turn out the way that you want, it ends up creating more struggles, it ends up not being quote unquote the right decision, that is a fact of life. That is just what happens sometimes. We can't always know how something is going to turn out. If you knew what the quote unquote right decision was, there wouldn't be a problem. You would just make it. You would go forward. You wouldn't second guess yourself. You would be fine because you would know what it was. But if you don't know and you go forward and you take a chance and it doesn't end up going the way that you want it to, what you're afraid of is how you're going to treat yourself. You're such an idiot. What's wrong with you? You're so dumb. You should know better. You can't do anything right. Other people don't deal with stuff like this. Whatever it is, You are afraid of how you are going to treat yourself, and you're afraid of what you're going to make it mean if other people have thoughts about your decision. If other people are judging you, it's not even so much their judgments that you're afraid of, it's what you are going to make their judgments mean about you, because you are already feeling vulnerable with having made a decision that didn't go the way that you wanted it to. So what do? We make a commitment to ourselves. You make a commitment to yourself that if you don't know what the outcome is going to be and you take a chance, a leap of faith, you show up and you go for it, and it ends up all coming crashing down, you commit to being kind, compassionate, and gentle with yourself. Because beating yourself up for an outcome that you didn't want or that you didn't know that was going to happen, it's just not fair. And so if you can commit to being that kind, compassionate person with yourself, if you can commit that no matter what, you will catch instead of kick yourself when or if you fall, then you won't have that same fear. You will feel more confident in making that decision because you know the cost of quote unquote failure is not so high. And then the other part is if you commit that no matter what the outcome is, you will learn from it. You will take something from it. If you even totally change your mindset around failure, and I've done a whole talk on this as well, if you change your mindset into thinking that failure doesn't mean that you are a failure. Failure means that you have more to learn, that you have more information to consider, to take in, to take on. If you commit that whenever you are stepping into something and the outcome is unknown, you are either going to get the outcome that you want or the lesson that you need. And if you are going through life like that, there's not so much on the line, and you are not going to feel so afraid of stepping into the decision and then quote unquote making the wrong decision. So committing to being kind and gentle, catching yourself instead of kicking yourself if you fall. That is going to be the first thing that's going to help you if you are stuck in indecision. The second thing is this perfectionistic idea that there's always a right or wrong decision, and it's your job to guess and be certain of what the right decision is going to be, even if you really can't know for sure until you've made that decision. And so this idea that there is a right and wrong, and if you make the right decision, then yay, and if you make the wrong decision, then you suck. But what if there's no such thing as a right or wrong decision in a lot of circumstances? Now, I'm not talking about a decision that, someone hurts your feelings and you have the urge to slap them because you're angry at them for hurting your feelings. Or the other option is to tell them that they hurt your feelings and have a conversation about it. There is a clearly right or wrong, helpful versus unhelpful decision to make there. But when it isn't clear, having this idea that there is a right or wrong decision is going to get you stuck. You're going to fear making the wrong decision. You're going to get stuck in analysis paralysis and perfectionistic thinking, and that is going to keep you stuck. So instead, understanding that in most circumstances, there isn't an ultimately all-knowing, all-wise right or wrong decision. There's just the decision with the reasons you like best. When you are struggling with indecision, it's because there are pros and cons to each decision. You're in ambiguity because there's not a clear-cut path. There's not a clear-cut right way. And so if you continue insisting on a clear-cut right way, you're not going to get it. So let's scrap that whole idea and let's go for looking for the decision with the reasons you like best. And this isn't about quantifying how many pros are on this side, how many pros are on that side, how many cons are on this side, how many cons are on that side, because every pro or con holds different weight. So you can make a list and you can list out the pros and cons on each side and then not quantify or, count how many and make a decision based on numbers of pros versus cons on each side. Instead, look at the weight that each pro holds. Notice what it feels like when you go through the list of pros and cons on each side, and notice which one has the reasons that you like best and has the consequences that you are most willing to deal with or accept should they happen. Do those two things when it comes to making big decisions, and you are going to find it a lot easier. This is going to clear out the majority of the blocks and the fears and the resistance that is coming up for you when it comes to making big decisions. Now, if you are like, Julia, yes, that makes sense. I get it, but I'm still not ready. I still don't feel ready to make this decision. Then if you know that you are not ready, then close it off and put it aside. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to say to yourself, I am not ready to make a decision on this, so I'm not going to. I can tell. I just know. And you know when you're not quite ready to make a decision on something. You've been going back and forth. You don't have the clarity that you're looking for. You don't kind of have the intuitions or that gut feeling yet that you've been looking for. And so that's okay. If you know that that's where you're at, then allow yourself to be there. And then instead of wasting all of this mental and emotional energy going around and back and forth and picking and analyzing and scrutinizing over every little thing and trying to make the decision that you're clearly not ready to make, allow yourself to close it off and say, you know what, I'm not ready to make this decision, so I'm not going to make this decision. In a lot of cases, things are not nearly as urgent as we like to tell ourselves that they are. There are some decisions that need to be made pretty quickly, but there are other decisions that don't. If it is your wedding day and you're trying to decide whether or not you should walk down the aisle and there's a whole church full of guests waiting there, you need to decide pretty quickly if you are going to walk down the aisle or not. But a lot of our decisions don't have that same type of pressure and urgency, and a lot of it's our own idea that we have to have it figured out. But do you? So if you don't, and if you're honest with yourself and you don't, and it can wait, or they can wait, then allow yourself to put it aside. And then decide when you're going to come back and revisit it. Say, I'm going to put this out of my brain for now. I'm going to save my mental and emotional energy that's going in to try to make a decision that I'm not ready to make. I'm going to stop exhausting and frustrating myself with that. I'm going to put it aside and I'm going to revisit it in a week, a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever it is, whatever you're like, this feels like a good amount of time to kind of have some more experience, to be with myself a little bit more, to process things, not this, but just sort of experience different things in life that are going to maybe help get more clarity, but I'm not going to stress and obsess about them right now. I'm just going to keep living my life and relook at this and see if anything has changed when I go back and consider this decision in a week, a month, 3 months, a year, whatever that time frame is, and put it aside and then put it in your calendar when you're going to revisit it. Sometimes time is the clarity giver. It's not trying to look at something from all angles and rush the decision and figure it out immediately, because sometimes we can make a decision prematurely because we haven't had time to simmer in things. We haven't had time to perhaps have some other experiences that give us more clarity. And so tabling the decision, putting aside, putting in your calendar, revisiting it at a later date, and then going back. And even at that time, you still don't have to make the decision. You might find that you're like, yeah, now I'm ready. I've got the clarity. I'm ready to do this. Or you might find that, you know what? I'm still not quite ready yet. And I'm going to put it aside for another week, 3 months, 6 months, year, whatever that is. So much of the pressure we put on ourselves to make decisions is our own pressure that we are putting on ourselves that is not necessary. It's the pressure around how we're going to treat ourselves if we don't get the result that we want, and the fear around that, and you can change that. It's this idea that there's a right decision and a wrong decision, and if you make the wrong decision, that all is lost, and that's just not true, and you can change that. Or it's the pressure to make the decision immediately and have it all figured out now when you're really not ready, and that's not necessary. if you struggle with making decisions and you want to be able to trust your ability to make your decisions more, then you have to work on trusting yourself more. And I have a guide for you. It's called The Simple Steps to Self-Trust. It's in the description below. And it's a workbook that's going to walk you through some really straightforward, step-by-step processes to build trust with yourself. We often forget that the foundation of a healthy relationship, of any strong and healthy relationship with others, we don't forget this. We know that the foundation of a strong and healthy relationship with someone else is based on trust. That's indisputable. But we forget that it's also the foundation for a strong, secure, and healthy relationship with ourselves. So I teach you in this guide the simple steps to self-trust. And as you learn to trust yourself more, you will feel more comfortable and confident in who you are. You will allow yourself the space to not pressure yourself into making a decision. You will trust yourself more to be able to be kind and gentle and catch instead of kick yourself if you fall. And you will trust that you don't have to stay in this perfectionist all or nothing thinking, that there's a right and wrong, and you'll be able to see more clearly the flexibility and nuance in not just decision making, but in every area of your life. So grab that Simple Steps to Self-Trust. Get on the wait list for the Shift Society. We only open up a few times a year, and you want to get on the wait list so then you know when we open up. That is in the description below as well. Tell me, where are you at with your decision making, and what are you going to take from this that is going to help you in your decision paralysis? Which one of these 3 skills that I taught you here are you like, that's what I needed, that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to start implementing it immediately? Let me know. Who are my action takers? I want to hear about that. Grab the Simple Steps to Self-Trust. Get on the waitlist for the Shift Society. It is always good to be with you. And until next time, take good care.